Hi everyone, this is Hall of Famer Matt. Welcome to the Real Gamerscore podcast. I'm joined by eventual Hall of Famer Cameron.
Hey.
Here at Real Gamerscore, we like to discuss all things Xbox achievements and not knowing what the fuck a hiatus is. This week we talk about touchy subjects, passing on cybering, and the servers being sunset. But first, here's the song of the week. Listen, gamer, ain't no ratio high, ain't no completion low, ain't no grind long enough, gamer. If you need me, ping me, no matter who you are, no matter how bad, don't worry, gamer, just at my name, I'll be there in a hurry, you don't have to worry, 'cause gamer, there ain't no ratio high enough, ain't no completion low enough, ain't no grind that's long enough to keep me from achieving with you. If you haven't got it by there, I don't know what you're doing.
Alright, so Ain't No Mountain High Enough? Is that the song title?
Okay, yep. That is the song title. Well done.
Okay, I don't know the band.
Well, it was sung by Marvin Gaye.
Okay, cool.
And
yeah.
Tammy Terrell. It's one of the greatest duets of all time. I would have liked to have get Kirby on to sing it with me, but he's too busy being employed and stuff, so fuck him.
Selfish.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, like, how fucking dare he just decide not to show up on the show anymore because he's too busy, being employed and not being a massive degenerate.
Yeah.
Well, he's actually, to be fair, those two things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. He's probably a massive degenerate as well.
All
right.
I'm surprised I got that from the 1 second of audio I could actually hear.
See, I really need to start pre-recording these and just sending them over. But good job, you got it.
Yeah, sweet.
As you can probably hear, it's just Cameron and I this week. We're doing a bit of a surprise episode, a surprise that we've already ruined by saying that we're going to be doing it on the Discord. We're still not sure about scheduling. We're trying to do the best we can, but you'll get new episodes as they come through, and we'll try and make it a bit more regular thing as the new year rolls around.
Yep. This is the Christmas episode that nobody asked for, that everybody just immediately ignores, and then we just roll on to the new year.
Exactly. Well, yes. When Christmas is just taking a bit too long, and you're tired of listening to your boomer parents' stories, this is just put the headphones in, just listen to this for an hour, and it won't get you through all of it, but it'll get you through some of it.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I mean, that's how I'm going to survive this Christmas, listening to myself. Okay, so let's get through the housekeeping. discord.io/realgamerscore. If you don't know what Discord is basically a big chat room where you can talk about games and off-topic stuff and memes and join competitions and things like that. We do quite a few bits and pieces on there, so you should definitely join that. We're all in there, all the hosts, so we've got a really good community going in there. Really, really friendly people. The chats range from things about the podcast to things about gaming in general to we have silly stuff and we have serious stuff. So if you want to bay your heart a bit and talk about some actual serious things that are impacting your life, we're all here for people. And we really appreciate the honesty and then the commitment people have really put into our community. It's been a hard year for everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you to all the people who have been supporting us. Speaking of which, we've also got a Patreon. If you do want to give us some money for one reason or another, patreon.com/realgamerscore. Again, our episode schedule is going to be a little bit off. So we totally understand if people, can't support us or can no longer support us. We totally understand. No hard feelings at all. We understand that that we try to put everything we can into the content that we make, and we use that Patreon money to keep the server costs down, and also for running competitions and giveaways and that kind of stuff, which we'll be doing more of in the new year. Saying
that, if you can't support us financially, tell a friend. Talk to mates about it. Join a boosting session. Randomly just sing Song of the Week to them.
Absolutely. Just play it. Just play it in the background in your boosting session. That's always what I do. I also do requests during boosting sessions or on other Discords that I hang out in.
I swear there's no crossover between my negative feedback and the music.
No, absolutely not. No, I've got almost completely positive feedback. I mean, I do really great in the sessions, and then I do the singing, so I usually end up with a neutral. It kind of evens out.
Okay, yeah, cool.
All right. With that out of the way, let's get straight into the news. We're not going to be messing around on this podcast anymore. We're trying to get it under an hour, so Cameron, you want to
speed run and
yes, exactly. Speed run. It's all speed runs every time. Any completion percentage, just got to get through it.
Yeah.
Cameron, so you're in charge of news this week. What have you come up with?
All right, so I guess two big news stories. The first one we'll go through Cyberpunk 2077.
I've heard of it.
One of the most anticipated games, I would say, of this decade. Finally released.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been in development for, 7 years?
Yeah, only 7 years about.
Yeah, so I'll go on a tangent straight away.
Yep.
So, one of my favorite musical artists, Miracle of Sound.
Yep.
He does video game-based music. It's some of the best. It's the thing that he's the artist I listen to the most, so I would highly recommend him. He put out a song called City of Night on his third album in 2013 based on the Cyberpunk trailer because he was super excited for it.
Yep.
Just this week, he's released a remastered version of that because it's been so long. It's been 7 years since he did that song.
Yep.
That he's like, actually, you know what? I've improved so much that I can't have this out here. I need to have an improved version of it. Which is funny because it seems like that Cyberpunk has gone the opposite way. where they've taken 7 years to make something that looks and plays worse than it did even in demos and trailers.
I can't understand, I can't wrap my hand around this. So, the obvious news story here, and I'm sure that most of the gaming community is fully aware that started off with, the game was, reviewers were given, review codes only for PC, and not for console. There was a very strict, what's the word, NDA?
Yeah, they have embargoes and they're very, very, very strict around what could and couldn't be talked about essentially, but pre-release.
Yeah. So then,
which to be fair is not massively unusual. I'll give them a little bit of I don't want to completely throw them under the bus, right? There various companies have various rules and sort of requests that they make of reviewers and when they release that early code of stuff to say, hey, please don't talk about this or please only talk about up to. So a lot of story-related games, can you please only talk about the first 5 chapters or so? Don't talk about anything past that for spoiler reasons, and understandably because some people will just go out there and just tell you about the whole game. Most people won't, because obviously they want to keep their readers happy. But yeah, they did seem a little more draconian in their requests and rules around the footage and what could be shown, especially when it came to the console version of stuff.
Which is for example, IGN had a review for the console version, I would say a week after launch.
Yeah.
4 out of 10.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad.
For a AAA game, the most recent thing in memory would have to be Fallout 76. Yeah.
And even then, yeah, so the only ones I think of Fallout 76 and maybe No Man's Sky are the only 2 other games that sort of fit into this category, I think, of being just massively huge disappointments from the get-go. But both of those games have made some sort of a recovery over time, but I think the difference, especially in No Man's Sky's case, they've basically reinvented the whole thing.
I feel like that was a potentially misleading, and they did fix it eventually.
Sure, which is good. I'm glad they did that, but still, definitely not an excuse to be releasing anything in this state. And also, I think the other thing is that No Man's Sky and Fallout 76 are online, constantly evolving, randomly generated game. They have randomly generated elements. They're live experiences in one way or another, right? Whereas Cyberpunk is very much a open world, single player, story based. You play through it, you have the experience, and you're basically done with it for the most part, right?
Yeah.
So I think that people are making this comparison, saying, "Oh, give them time to improve it like these other games." And I don't really think it's comparing apples with apples on that because they are completely different genres. And how many people are going to go back to Cyberpunk in 2 years if they're like, "Oh, we fixed all of this," and they're like, "Oh, well, that's great, but I've already played through the game, and there's not really much more for me to experience unless you put out some DLC."
Yeah. It's To me, I just can't understand how it got to this point. Now the team's going out saying we've told team management that this was the case all along, and it's
so there's a lot of fingers being pointed. So basically, this has all come to a head as they announced yesterday when we were recording that both Sony has pulled the game from their stores.
Has this ever happened before?
No, I've never seen this before. So Sony's essentially pulled the game from their stores and are offering refunds. Now, Microsoft are also offering refunds as well, but Microsoft have a relatively good refund system, whereas Sony very much does not.
Yeah.
So Sony going out of their way to saying, absolutely, we will make this work, is pretty damning.
Yeah.
And like we said, even those other games, Fallout 76 and No Man's Sky didn't have this level of controversy, I guess. I mean, like, Sony never pulled no one's pulled those games.
I think Fallout 76, the worst thing was the collector's edition.
Yes,
they misadvertised what you would get in collector's edition. That was refund through EB and that kind, but I don't think there was any digital.
No, and these companies, they would never want to give you the money back. So this has to be a serious potential issue for them, especially going into the holidays. I mean, like, this was going to be a Christmas game for sure, right? Like, it came out December 10th. Like, they must have been banking on Q4 sales if they were willing to push it out in this state.
It makes me think, like, with those 3 weeks of optimization, I guess is what they were calling it. Like, what did they actually do?
I mean, there's only so much you can do, right? Like, I think that the game is unfinished in a way that is almost embarrassing. Like, there's still placeholder art stuff. The console experience is terrible. Even the PC experience is not great. Like it's definitely the best of what's available. But even then, you've got the issue of technical issues around glitches and bugs and crashes and things like that. It seems to be happening a lot more on console. But even on PC, it's still, not great. Yeah. But especially on last-gen console stuff, people trying to play it on base Xbox Ones and PS4s are having real big issues with it. But, there's still problems in terms of, the game itself is still apparently not very well designed. It's quite bland. There's not a lot of good side content. Not a lot of good... The AI is really, really rudimentary. Apparently there's no pathing AI for the driving. So if you just park a car in front of someone, they'll just stay there forever. Yeah. I mean, they figured that stuff out in GTA 3.
So I purchased it only because EB had a really good trade deal. I basically got a gift card for my birthday. I think I ended up getting the game for $5.
Oh, okay, sure.
For trading in 2 of the other games that I no longer play. So that's fine. I've probably played 2 hours of it, and then after that I've just had no intention whatsoever of picking it back up. It's just
you're not feeling it.
The first playthrough I got a game-breaking bug on the first mission.
Perfect, good start.
Yep. The second playthrough, it was alright for what I played so far, but I was just no interest.
I mean, it's hard to get excited about something like this anymore, right? Because the last thing you want to do is... this is going to be a 40-hour game if you're going to do all the content probably. 30 to 40 probably. And you get 20 hours in and you run into a game-breaking bug. What are you supposed to do? I'm not buying games this year. Or trying not to, at least. And I might extend that out a bit into next year as well at this rate. But I've got a copy of it. I have access to a copy of it, I should say, but I just have no interest in playing it right now. It's too risky. I definitely had some interest going into it because I was like, oh, cool, Cyberpunk, people are excited about it. I'm trying to get too hyped, but people, even if it's just a good Deus Ex, a third Deus Ex game that we didn't get, perfect, because I want more of that.
I think as achievement hunters, our worst thing is putting time dedication to a game only to have something like 3 achievements left out of a completion and then have to start over.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't think of anything worse.
I mean, and you've experienced it. Yeah, and for the record, the game is completable. We have seen completions on TA for it. So in terms of the achievement working, they seem to have done their job. But that doesn't account for game-breaking bugs and things within the game itself that prevent you from completing it.
It's a roll of the dice.
Exactly, and I just don't think it's worth the risk. The CD Projekt Red have come out and said that they're going to be putting out some big patches in January and February, which, to be fair, is probably when they should have launched the game. This really should have been a late Feb, early March launch to get it within this financial year. And even then, I'm still going to probably be waiting till all the DLC's out for this thing. I don't really see myself jumping onto it. Again, too many other things to play, too many other good things to play that work, too many other bad things to play that still work but are still bad. There's it's a really hard ask. Exactly. Call of the Sea is pretty good, by the way.
I'm jumping on it next week, I reckon.
Yeah, definitely do that. Yeah, but again, everyone kind of knows what's going on, I would assume, by this point.
Yeah.
But this is absolutely unprecedented. And I'll be watching this closely to see what they come out with. And like again, is this going to be, oh, we're going to take it down for a week or two? Or is this going to be, oh, no, we're not, Sony's not putting this back up until like, mid next year?
Or is this going to be the new standard going forward? And these console manufacturers are putting pressure on the developers or publishers to have their games fixed at launch.
Yeah, have their shit together. Yeah. I mean, they should do, because, obviously, like, there's no way that this game went through certification without seeing some of these bugs, right?
I don't know if I'm misreading it, but I believe I saw an article was that they passed certification on good faith alone.
Yeah, which is what I was going to say, is that, yeah, so for those who are not aware, the way certification basically works is that prior to a game's launch on the platform, they need to submit it to the console manufacturers to make sure that those guys are happy with it for various reasons. And both Sony and Microsoft have been real sticklers about stuff in the past. The bigger the game tends to be, the easier it is to get past, though, because, obviously that generates money for the platform. There is a vested interest in getting games out. What seems to be the case, and there was an earnings call about this, I believe, where they confirmed this, is that they went to the manufacturers, they went to Sony and Microsoft and said, oh yeah, no, we're aware of these bugs, but we'll have a day one patch to sort these out. Because obviously they need to get the game through certification before the game comes out, like a few weeks beforehand. That's probably what those 3 weeks were. Most likely, it was likely certification issues that they had to fix. And Sony and Microsoft say, yeah, absolutely, we'll do it on faith that you've given us a guarantee that you will sort these things out before release. Otherwise, and we'll just pass you through the certification.
Yep.
Clearly, that has not happened. And I think that's going to affect things going forward, because so many, like, again, this is relatively standard procedure in terms of the faith thing around fixing some issues, if there are minor certification issues. But I imagine that Microsoft and Sony are going to be a lot more skittish around approving things on faith in the future because of how much this has blown up in their faces.
Yeah. Interesting. I don't know if there's anything else to add to this.
No, I mean, again, a lot of people have had opinions on it. It's interesting for sure, and definitely not a good look for CD Projekt Red. Their stock has dropped pretty significantly, and
they lost 1/3, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was about 25% last time I looked at it, but that's pretty rough.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of they're not an indie developer anymore, right? Like, they're huge. They're GOG. You've got GOG, and you've got, essentially, in terms of publishing, they're the second biggest publisher in Europe next to Ubisoft. And, like, I mean, Ubisoft, is not great, and they haven't had a great track record of their games being in a good state, and also, there's the other things that go on at Ubisoft as well. But, like, this is just not fucking on, right? Like, how did they think they were going to get away with this? I just do not understand.
Makes me think, like, I don't think I've had a next-gen experience so far that has been positive with any of these games.
Yeah,
because I played Watch Dogs Legions. I played Valhalla, and I haven't had any issues myself, but there have been game-breaking bugs.
For sure, yep, there have definitely been issues with it.
Cyberpunk, I mean, the only one that I probably own that I haven't played yet is Just Dance, and I haven't had any issues about that.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure, I would fucking hope that Just Dance is fine. I mean, it's not like they're doing much to it. Yeah, again, this next gen has really sort of started off with a bit more of a splutter than a boom, right?
Yeah. The consoles are great, but
yeah. Well, your console's great, I'm sure. I'm still waiting to get mine back from the repair.
My console's great, but pretty much at the moment, it's just like, for next gen, it's very underwhelming. But for everything previous to that, like 360 games, Xbox One games, and all that, just runs so buttery smooth. Yeah. Unfortunately, you don't have the same.
No, I do not have the same experience, unfortunately. Yeah. But that's fine. Microsoft has... I did get an email saying Microsoft has received my broken Series X, and they will be repairing it and getting back to me. I'm hoping before the new year, but we'll see.
I guess I should, with this quick talk about Microsoft and that, I should quickly shoehorn my winning in.
Yeah, go for it.
I am a Xbox Hall of Famer now.
Yes. So do you want to discuss what happened there?
Only 2 months too late. So essentially, it was rigged, the contest. No, so obviously Microsoft or Xbox had some issues with some of their scoring. A lot of the community brought it forward. I sent a message to them, basically bringing up Matt's Gamerscore and achievements as one example.
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of generic emails back, but then on I think December 8th it was, or December 9th, I got an email back saying that I had been awarded into the Hall of Fame. And silly me at 5 a.m. in the morning when I got the message, thought with the leaderboard, thought that I was the number one person in the world for games played for Game Pass. That was not the case.
You were fourth. A little bit off.
I was fourth. I swear, the first time around they did it, they didn't have the countries in alphabetical order.
No, they didn't, yeah.
And then the second time around they have, so then I see Australia on the very top, and I assume, and yeah.
That's fine, don't worry about that. But yeah, so congratulations, mate. So you finally got your recognition that you deserve.
I've got my 12-month code, but I'm still waiting on the contest winnings in the Series X, the award, and the hoodie.
They said they'll hopefully get them to you by Christmas, though, right? So next week?
They said 23rd, however, I probably think that's going to be Jen.
Well, you know. I mean, to be fair, they did get back to you pretty late. And I've been talking with their department, essentially, around the stuff with some of the issues I've been having with my Xbox and my trophy and a few other bits and pieces.
Do you want to go through that?
No, I'm not going to drag them. They've been very, very good about it. Yeah. There was a minor issue with my trophy being printed misaligned. My Series X disk drive had some serious issues with some of the noises it was making, which is a bit worrying. But no, they've been very, very good. They're trying to help out as best they can. And like I understand that the competition was run out of the US, and that the local companies themselves had very little to do with it in terms of they had some logistical issues around actually sourcing consoles and getting them out to people because of delays. Which, you know, working in marketing myself, I totally understand how that can happen.
Yep.
And so I'm not, you know, I didn't want to be a total Karen about it. But I did sort of express my displeasure, and they've been very good about trying to sort these issues out. So, you know, not a great experience, but they are doing their best, which I really appreciate. Anyway, let's move on.
Cool. Moving on to, I can never pronounce this developer's name right. Publisher's name right. Sorry.
Zillion?
Zillion? Yeah. So
no idea. Yeah.
Let's just run with that. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. Sure.
So TA published an article yesterday about this publisher having at least 9 of their games having 1K updates over the next month.
Oh yeah.
So how do we feel about games getting easy 1K updates that can be completed in pretty much less than 5 minutes?
I mean, look, you do one, and I think that's okay. I mean, I'm still not a fan of it. Again, we'll sort of we'll make this a discussion piece, but I think that having easy updates for games is fine in and of itself, right? I mean, the developer can do whatever they want. But the fact that they keep going back to the well and not adding any new content and just adding achievements to them, really, and like it's so transparent what they're doing, right? They're just trying to get people to re-download the game or buy it or to get it because it's worth more in terms of video games. And for Gamerscore, whoring, as it were. Yeah. And like I've played most of these games, you know, like I've done the original 5 that they updated. There's a couple more they updated recently. But this article is basically like, oh, yep, we're just going to keep doing it until we hit the limit, which I think is, 5,000?
Yeah, I think they had plans with certain games to hit 5K, and it's just like, where's the, I guess, fairness in it as well? Like, will we see Red Alarkers in the future just suddenly gets 4K updates and add another out? Like, when does Microsoft stop in and go,
well, the thing
you're
is,
saturating the system.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the achievement system has not been a priority for Microsoft for a little while now. I think we can probably both agree. Yeah. With their last major update being the rare achievement Diamond back, a few years back now?
Would have been 2014?
No, yeah, actually, it would have been. Yeah, you're right. It would have been.
I feel like in terms of the biggest updates and not so much achievements, it would have been the backwards compatibility around 2015. So I'm thinking 2014 was rares than that. But I may be wrong.
Yes, it looks like 4 years ago. So it would have been... Yeah,
okay.
So 2016 basically was the last major sort of update. It really doesn't really feel like that Microsoft are hugely into the achievement scene at the moment.
Yeah.
They understand the importance of the niche, and like you could tell from the Hall of Fame stuff that they have at least some idea of it, but obviously not a great one because the numbers were wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. Like my most of my achievement hunting days are my best achievement hunting days are basically behind me. I think at this stage.
It's funny because the more I think about it, Sony has a really good trophy system now. Like even some of the stuff they implemented for the PS5 is very interesting. I believe there was a case of if you earned a trophy, it would record like a 10-second snippet of you earning that trophy as well.
Yes, so you can turn on the recording bit.
Which
quite cool.
Which I love that as a feature. However, Sony do not recognize their trophy hunters. Like it's not a big thing for trophy hunters. Whereas in Xbox, it's the opposite thing. I feel like we're not getting the features that we're requesting, but you get the recognition. You've got the names like Stallion, Smirnov, those kind of ones that are big for the platform, redemption denied, etc.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're right. But the thing is, like, I'm really interested to see what Microsoft does going forward for it. I think is the key thing, right? Are they going to put new rules in place? Are there going to be any changes to the achievement system, or are we just going to be kind of because it's still a little bit like it's like the Wild West out there now in terms of updates and control and that sort of stuff. Like they used to be very, very tight in terms of you had to have all XBLA games had to have 12 achievements and 200 points, and you could add another 3 achievements for 50 points, and then it was like all games maximum of 50 achievements for 1,000 points, and then it was DLC could only have 250 extra points, and then they kind of was like, we'll just fucking do whatever we want. We'll just put on an extra 1,000 points. XBLA games, sometimes might have 400 points, then up to 500, and it was all over the place. And now it just really feels like they just don't care.
I don't mind how it was at the start of the start of the Xbox One generation, where we were getting the XBLA games, or former XBLA games becoming like 1Ks with the ID at Xbox stuff.
Yeah, I would agree.
I think that's the limit. Like,
I think it's gone too far.
Yeah.
But I'll be interested to see what happens going forward. Is there anything else you want to add to that? I mean, again, we could discuss the achievement stuff for ages, and I'm sure it'll come up again as we get more as the year goes on.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that it's well known in the community that certain content creator was practically or partially responsible for this.
Yes. So the talk is that one Chivo Guides was potentially a part of making this a thing that happened by essentially trying to convince the developer and publisher to add these in, citing that they would get more sales and more buy-in and more interest from the achievement hunting community, which is, I suppose, technically true, but I don't know. It's kind of divided the achievement community in terms of how they feel about this. And it does seem a little bit iffy to have, someone who writes guides for achievements leaning on a developer to add new achievements and to make them easier. I mean, look, I understand that sometimes these big channels and stuff are a good way of getting through to these developers, these smaller developers, about our niche and trying to, if there are unobtainables or there are issues with the achievements and things like that, to be able to bring those to the light and show that there are people who are interested in getting these fixed. But I think this might be a step too far.
Yeah.
Again, we don't know how much direct involvement they had. It might be nothing. It might just be a coincidence. Yeah. But yeah, that's not a good look. I
was going to say too, there's people like Macca, another big content creator that have been on. I think he was on a Trophies podcast probably like a month ago, and he was actually complimenting Sony's Sony's upgrades for Trophies and stuff that Microsoft should be doing to further the service. And I can't think of what it is, but if anybody can find that podcast and post in the Discord, it's actually a really good watch, and he has some really interesting ideas.
I might check that out. Macker is a great guy all around, from what I know.
Yeah.
And he's been a staple of the achievement hunting community for ages.
Yeah.
All right, let's
proper guides and not just 5-minute ones.
Yeah, exactly. Call of the Sea, great guide. Thank you for that. Okay, let's move on to what we've been playing, because we want to keep this short. Yeah. Cameron, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go. I'll knock it out of the park. All right. So pretty much what I've been playing is I've been focusing on one particular game, with a Game of the Year edition and a base one. Seems to be the game that everybody else is talking about, Shadow Mordor, because we're getting server closures coming up in less than a fortnight.
Yeah, so it's getting a little tight there. I'm assuming you're talking about working on the trials mainly,
Yep.
was
So,
the main point of contention?
3 achievements on each one. You got the Vendetta mission in the main game, then Trials of the Wild, and Trial of the Ring. Trial of the Ring isn't too bad. Trial of the Wild is much, much worse.
Yes, it is.
So I finally got both of these games, not completed, but in terms of the discontinues coming up, completed. I swear there is a major difference between the Game of the Year going back to the base.
You think so? I mean, because I did the base first, so from my experience, I had finished everything except for those 2 achievements pretty much on the base game, and I hadn't started the Game of the Year edition. So I went through, did the base, did those achievements, and then started the Game of the Year edition and went through it. I had a much easier time doing those challenges on the Game of the Year edition, partly because I understood how the system worked a bit better, and had some good tricks, and also I got relatively lucky, which is, again, there is you do need to pray.
Very big luck.
You do need to pray to RNGesus if you want to get a really, really good run. Your final run looked pretty good, though, in terms of timing and score.
I had 5 runs that I would have been less than a minute off.
Yeah, I had a couple like that, yeah.
It wasn't... I spent 3 or 4 days trying to get Call of the Wild done for the base game. The first time around, I don't think it was that bad on the Game of the Year edition. There feels like there's a major difference to me with some of the war chiefs, and I don't know if they've just been slightly altered.
I mean, the war chiefs are random, so
for Call of the Wild.
Oh no, sorry, Call of the Wild. No, they're not. Yeah. They're the same. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Zugor, the one with the fire arrows, continuously just mucked me up.
Yeah, no, I definitely got killed a few times by him. I actually just ended up killing him immediately and just getting someone else to be the war chief. Because I was like, I'm not to put up with this. Just shoot arrows into his head till he dies, basically.
Pretty much after that, did the Test of the Ring. Missed out on my first run, mainly because I hadn't done the trial in like 2 weeks after that point. And then, just quickly smashed it on the second run at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Nice.
But... yeah, Shadow Mordor, really good game.
Yeah, really good actually. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed going back to it.
Yeah, highly recommend. Probably don't recommend playing them back to back.
Yeah. I was lucky I'd already done the base game, because doing them both back to back would have been a bit rough.
But yeah, no, quite enjoyed it. I guess the only other one I really have to talk about is Generation Zero. Me and Alex have been playing bits and pieces of this here and there when we're not busy, which is all the time. This is a massive game.
Yeah, I've been hearing interesting things about it. The discussions you guys have been having have been unusual, to say the least.
So Sweden, like 1970s, 1980s, big robot mechs, just roaming Sweden. Absolutely,
as they do.
Absolutely fucking your shit up.
But the game's a bit of a mess, though, right? I've heard in terms of its performance.
No issues.
Really? Okay.
We've had no issues. I would say it's very difficult. Right. But I wouldn't say that it has like any. I can't think of any like technical limitations or that we run into. The only thing that I feel like this game would majorly benefit from would be a proper like vehicle.
Right.
Like there's you're just walking, or you've got like the worst biking animation ever to get across. And like, there's no point taking a bike because if you run into like a massive mech, it's just gonna wreck you immediately anyway.
Right.
Also, the fact that you can join people's games and get most of the story-based achievements pretty quickly. I joined a randoms game and I think I got like 20 achievements just straight off the bat. But everything else is just absolute grind. But definitely recommend it if it comes on a sale. It's probably going to be in the vicinity of like a 40 to 50 hour completion, though, I'd imagine.
This would be a good Game Pass game, potentially.
I don't think I've had this much fun. Like, I know this is going to be like a great group game. And the fact is, like, it's just me and Alex trying to align our schedules at the moment to actually play together.
How many people can you have in a game?
I think 4.
Okay.
Yeah. I feel like this is like another kind of those Remnant games. Not that kind of world, but that kind of like party game. Just everybody just does it, you know, at least once a week, smash into it.
Okay.
And then you'll start it, and then you'll hate me for having another 50-hour completion in your tag. It's gonna be absolute grindfest. But from what we played, like, it's just massive worlds. Just randomly generated mechs. Think of like running around like a PUBG kind of map.
Oof. Okay.
But like, it's a lot prettier.
All right. I mean, it would have to be if PUBG's fucking
just to give you that kind of size, though.
Sure. Okay. Right. So there's a lot to it, but there's not really a narrative, though, right? Is there?
Nah, it's like very basic.
Very bare bones. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I feel like this is a really good base, and if they had built like, you know, proper voice acting and that kind of stuff on it, like it would have been a much better launch.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So it's more like a DayZ than a Far Cry.
Yeah, pretty much it.
Sure. Okay.
But yeah, haven't got much points because of just going for like test of the world. But yeah, 1480 for the week. What about you?
So I have been playing Sunset Overdrive. These servers have come back.
Can I just say before you go that,
yes.
Aftos, it installed on my Series X. I have it, and I have the DLC, and it's launchable.
All right. So that means we're going to get into it. So for those who don't know, the service went down for Sunset Overdrive a few weeks ago. People were quite upset about it. Turns out apparently it was just maintenance, and because not a lot of people were playing it, basically it got dropped off. So they've fixed it. It's back up. Everyone's pretty happy about it. So we've decided with AHA and a few other people to get into it and actually finish up the Chaos Squad achievements. And I figured, well, if I'm doing that, I might as well just finish out the rest of the game. And man, this game is great. This game is fantastic.
You understand why it is my number one of the Xbox One generation?
I understand. I don't agree that it's the best game on the Xbox generation, but I agree that it's very, very good. It's like a solid like 8.5. Like, it's got a few technical issues. The weapons are a little boring, to be honest. I mean, they look interesting and like they're kind of fun, but in terms of like their actual uses aren't that great.
I think going back to it, like, I can appreciate more of how I feel like technically advanced it was for the time period that it was.
Sure. I mean, again, we're talking about a 2014 game here. I mean, but also Shadow of Mordor came out the same year, and I think has some more interesting technical elements, especially in terms of...
okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah. But I think that like the traversal was really good. I really enjoy the grinding stuff. It's the one thing is missing. It needs a double jump. That's the one thing that game is missing. If they had a double jump...
There's a double jump.
If you tap A twice, nothing happens.
I double jump.
There's no double jump. What are you talking about?
Maybe I jump and then I dash and then I jump.
Yeah, well, that's different. I mean, just like a straight up like double jump. Like again, like because the wall running is a little bit iffy. Like again, the traversal is really interesting, but it's not quite as smooth as some of the games have come to be.
I think you're crazy. You've lost me. Yeah. You lost me.
I think, the mission style is not that interesting. I like the humor, even though it's a bit early 2000s. Like, it doesn't always hit the mark. But I was hugely impressed with it. I'm really, really glad I got this opportunity to go back to it. I think it's a really, really fun game, and I would highly recommend people should play it. I'm probably going to go back to the PC version when I have a computer that can run it.
Chaos Squad is just so like if you actually have a full lobby, which I never did at the start, it is amazing.
Yeah. Well, again, I think the game would probably benefit by being just open world co-op in general, though. I think that's maybe the thing that they missed is that like if they ever do a Sunset Overdrive 2, even if Insomniac don't do it or whatever ends up, I don't know. If they ever do a spiritual successor to it, it really needs to have like a 4-player co-op mode right from the beginning for the whole game. Because I think that game is fun by itself, but it is really comes into its own when you have more people.
I would absolutely die for something like that, like a Jet Set Radio, Sunset Overdrive kind of open world co-op experience.
Yeah. I won't spend too much time on it, but yeah, it was really good, and I highly recommend it. I've gone through and finished it. I also have just recently played yesterday Call of the Sea, which is on Game Pass. 2 to 3 hour completion. I mean, 4 to 5, depending on if you want to use a guide or not. Really interesting sort of narrative puzzle game where you walk around looking for your husband on a deserted Polynesian island where he's left you a bunch of clues as to some stuff that he's looking for into some secret, like, hidden rituals and dark stuff that's happened on this island in the past. I won't get into any more than that, but I think it's really good. The achievements are a little iffy in terms of making sure to use, like, getting all the logs and stuff. Make sure you follow at least maybe a text guide for those because you don't want to miss them. Because there's a lot to pick up, but not all of it counts as, like, collectibles. So it's a bit weird. Yeah, really good, though. And on Game Pass, you can't beat free. But anyway, there's a few other bits and pieces, but those are the main ones, and that puts me at 5,090 for this week.
And if you play enough Game Pass games, you might win an Xbox.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Let's get into... We've got a couple of questions we got over the break, so we'll just get into those quickly.
I think these are the only questions we got asked over the break. So
yeah, these are the only two we've... Just repeat them in the thing, and we'll put them in the next episode. We are trying to catch up on everything, as we haven't been on for the last few weeks.
All right, you can do Isaac's and I'll do Hawkeye's?
Yep. So Isaac's asked a question. Hey guys, when I opened Game Pass app on my phone, I noticed there were many games listed for xCloud that support touch controls. Are there any of them worth playing? And if so, do you think touch controls would work for any of them? What do you think about touch controls in general? Thanks for the show as always. Here's the list. He's got Bloodstained, Celeste, Dead Cells, Golf with Your Friends, Guacamelee 2, Hellblade, Hot Shot, Racing, Hyperdot, Inkifel, Indivisible. There's quite a few. There's about 20 or so in there. All right, let's start with touch controls in general. What do you think about touch controls?
I do not like touch controls on anything. I'd say, like, I see the list here, I split them in half, because in terms of racing, I think they're okay.
Sure.
I think turn-based games and that kind of stuff is where it's going to excel.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, I was
something like Slay the Spire is in here, for example. I think that's a great example.
Slay the Spire's in there. I've just recently started playing the newer Yu-Gi-Oh! Just something like that, easy on phone. Like, if it got touch controls, like, I would see that being something easy.
Sure.
Golf with yourself, friends?
Golf with your friends, yeah.
I was going to say, he's put golf with yourself, friends, and I'm just, like, completely just lost it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, golf with yourself? Anyway, yeah.
Anyway,
sure.
I was going to say, those kind of games where it's just, like, charging up to hit the ball, I can see that. Something like Minecraft Dungeons, that's where I'm going to get a bit more... Indivisible, this would be great, though. Like, turn-based... That's fine.
Yeah, well, I would have to disagree because I think that I think that half of it is good. Like in terms of turn-based combat, it's not too bad. But a lot of that game is timing.
Yeah.
And then there's also huge amounts of platforming involved. And I think a lot of these games, like Bloodstained, like Celeste, like Dead Cells, do involve quite a bit of platforming. Super Lucky's Tale, like that's just really not meant for touchscreen gaming.
How do you feel about fighting games with touchscreen?
I still don't think that's a great one. In terms of button pressing, it's fine, but anytime you need to use a joystick for any sort of input, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had many bad experiences with touchscreens, given all the phone games that I've played.
Yeah.
And I really just don't think it's a great use for anybody.
I feel like with xCloud, for example, if I was taking this to go to my parents' house, I ordered a Razer Kushi.
Yes, I've been thinking about getting one of those.
I've been waiting like 6 months from the US to and now it's lost in
They've
transit.
been sold out for quite a while, yeah.
Yeah, now my bloody one's lost in transit. It's great, yeah.
Well, hopefully it shows up at my house, because I want one.
But like games like Tell Me Why, those kind of like narrative ones where it's just,
Sure.
Walking Dead, like the Telltale games, I could just easily take that and play that on something like small, like a phone. Slay the Spire and that. But
yeah. So I think really it's that there are some games that it will work with, but I don't think that it's still a hampered. It's not a good option. It's a hampered experience no matter what game you play with it, right? Like I can't think of a single game that would be better on a touchscreen than it would be with a controller.
I just saw Undermine on here. As much as I love Undermine, I would not touch this on a mobile.
Exactly.
It would be absolute horrid, I'd imagine.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway.
Well, thank you for the question, Isaac. That's an interesting one. We hadn't even considered a lot of that stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what gets added to the list as we go on. I try to, when I use my cloud gaming stuff, try to bring a controller with me. But every now and then you forget and you just have the phone sitting there. So it's good to know we have options at least.
Yeah. Going to Hawkeye, so Cyberpunk was just pulled from PlayStation Store. Do you feel CD Projekt Red is getting a pass on Cyberpunk because of The Witcher 3, or is it justifiable because the game works well on some platforms? I think the reaction would be different if the game was made by EA.
I mean, I don't think they are getting a pass, right? I think they're getting raked over the fucking coals.
I feel like it's very split between the gaming community. I feel like some of them are giving them a pass, but I feel like the majority is just going, well... But there's so many people who are just going, well, I'm not experiencing these issues.
Yeah, no, it works on my machine, right? And, like, fuck those people for a start. But, like, I don't really... I don't know if people are giving them a pass, right? I mean, the game is off the store. Like, I mean, I guess the question to Hawkeye is, who is giving them the pass? Are we talking about journalists? Are we talking about, are we talking about streamers? Are we talking about us? Are we talking about developers? Like, in terms of the people chiming in, I think pretty much everyone agrees that this was a fuck up, right? Like, even the people who are like, oh, I haven't had any trouble with my machine, but this is clearly... The game is not finished. Like, even the people who are enjoying the game can admit to that, I would hope.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, it dampens the experience. You want it to be immersive. You want to be able to lose yourself in a game like this. And
yeah.
Especially in RPGs.
Yes, exactly. And given the little hype, I think that actually... I think people are more angry about this than they would have been for an EA game. Because, like, EA has a reputation for being shitty. Whereas CD Projekt Red, I mean, like, I don't think they're getting a pass. I think they're probably going to get it rougher because of how good The Witcher 3 was. And how people have sort of come to adore this fucking...
They had... Yeah, I mean, like, even just by community standards, they've sent out their, like, their marketing-wise and all that. Like, I know that there was one guy talking about CD Projekt Red. He was working on... It was like a smaller indie game like a year or two ago, and then after he finished up with them, they just send him all these Swedish cookies and like he had like 2 grocery bags full of just snacks, like Swedish snacks to say thank you.
Polish, but yes.
Sorry, Polish. Sorry, I got Generation Zero stuck in my head. Sorry. But you get what I mean? Like, they had that kind of reputation, and they've all but just destroyed it now.
Yeah, and for what? What have they got out of this? Yeah, so I think I would challenge that.
Trying to keep the investors happy for like 3 weeks, and then...
Yeah, exactly, for like a minute. Yeah, I think I would challenge that, Hawkeye. I think as time goes on, we're going to see more and more come out about this. I think it's going to be very interesting. I look forward to the no clip or the... video essay or the Jason Schreier, internet historian, whatever thing that comes out about how the fuck this happened. Because it's bad. It's real bad. And I don't think they're getting a pass. And I think the people who are getting them a pass are fucking stupid, to be honest. I think that they're even if the game is working well for you to say, oh, it's fine, like it's not a problem, I think it's just massively ignorant.
Yeah. The more people that give this a pass, the worse off we're going to be in gaming to the next generation.
Exactly. All right.
Because then it becomes the standard, and nobody wants fucking shitty launch games like this.
No, exactly. Yeah, this shouldn't be how things go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Hawkeye Barry. We appreciate the question. Let's get into some milestones. So we've trimmed down the milestones a little bit as we talked about on the previous episode, just so we can keep things in line a little bit. So now we're just going to be doing Gamerscore, TA score, completed games, and any of our really good leaderboards that we see people showing up on.
I just didn't include them this week. There's too much of a
That's fine. There's I've got one in there.
All right, cool. What, your name or?
No, not me. Not me this time. I mean, you of course.
You were in there. What are you talking about?
I'm already at the top, man. There's no way for me to go. All right.
You just need to destroy your completion percentage like me now, and.
Oh, fuck that. I'm not destroying my completion percentage for anything.
All right, let's. I'll do Gamerscore. So
go
Haddon 90 has reached a new milestone of 200,000. Hawkeye Barry 20 has reached 300,000. Salzbar has reached 350,000. J Black has reached 350,000. Whispering Clown has reached 450,000. Niberius 550,000. Sazpol 650,000. Big L also 650,000. Mad Eye Pad Eye 950,000. 50,000 to go, mate. And Trash Forever 1.45 million game score.
Yeah, he's catching up on me very, very quickly. I need to do something.
You say that, but I thought you were going to take a break now. Like
I'm always taking a break. I'm doing the Miyazaki thing where I go into retirement and then just come back, and people tell me that's what a vacation is. All right, for TA score, we've got Invisible has reached 200,000. Enigma Gamer 77 has reached 800,000. Valak has reached 1 million. Big L has reached 1.1, and Spazpol has reached 1.1. Mad Eye Pad Eye has reached 1.5, and Planting 42, friend of the show, has reached 1.6. For completed games, how do I pronounce that?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing before. Is it?
Oh, sorry, that's Fred 83. Fred 83 has reached 100 completed games. Kung Fu Skills has reached 200. Hazo has reached 400. Mad Eye Pad Eye is at 500. Good work, mate. Valaxy has reached 500 as well. Prue has reached 800, and I have reached 1,500 completed games.
Yeah.
Finally got Secret Neighbor done. Fuck that game.
Yeah, thanks for waiting for me for that.
Yeah, no, get fucked. And then for leaderboards, there's just one that I saw that Valaxy is now in the top 5 of the Portugal Gamerscore leaderboards. Good job, mate.
That didn't come up in our milestones.
Fake Spain all the way. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but he probably hacked it.
I might have to look into
that. But I think that pretty much wraps up the show.
Yeah, we did it under an hour.
Well, yeah, I've still got to edit it, but yes.
Don't just add 10 minutes in for the sake of it.
Exactly. If you want to get in contact with us, send us emails or questions, you can message us on email at hello@realgamerscore.com. Otherwise, you can hit us up on the Twitter at realgamerscore, which Cameron mans. We've got, as we mentioned, discord.io/realgamerscore if you want to get involved in discussion. We also have a question channel in there, which we grab our questions from, so we really appreciate them putting them in there. One easy place for us to look at. Also generate some good discussion. And patreon.com/realgamerscore if you want to help keep the lights on. We really appreciate all the love and support from all the community and all the feedback that we've been getting from the last episode around changing up the show. We're hoping that you like the sort of new format that we're testing out. And again, any feedback, we all appreciate all the feedback we get, and we want to try and incorporate as much of it into the show as possible. If you want to help the show out, you can subscribe to us on whatever platforms you're used to. You guys understand how this works. Leave us a review. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Patreon, that sort of stuff. If you want to get in contact with me, you can contact me on Neomaster on pretty much everything. True Achievements, Discord, Xbox in general. Cameron?
If you want to reach me, I'm Shadowless. Edge, pretty much just the space between the two words. You can find me pretty much under that gamer tag on practically everything except for Facebook, which I admin the Xbox Achievement Community Group, and Twitter, which I run the RGS page.
Cool. All right, well, that'll wrap up episode 116. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you guys in the new year.
Catch you guys.
Peace.